Okay, let's do this. Almost. Hello. Welcome to an adventure. Um, Today, I think the microphone is working, but I still had the cover on the camera. It's great. Uh, let's see. Matt M33, hello and welcome. Lord Portico, thank you so much for the resubscription. 47 months. Oh my gosh. Conciliance, hello, hello. Indeed, indeed. Participate now in the chat for a chance to become a VIP for the stream, which will just get you a little digital gemstone next to your name for this stream only. You know, minimal prizes. But anyway, hi everybody. Welcome. Hi Puddle Glam. Hello. I hope work lurking well for you today. Okay. Hi. I'm Rogan27, also known as Anthony Wright Day Hernandez, Community Collections Archivist here at Virginia Tech, and this is Archival Adventures. This is a once-a-week show where we look at things that are from the archives here, and we learn about them together, because most of the time I've never actually seen them before. So, or minimally so. Ooh, a shiny, you say? We needs the shiny. Yes. you get a special digital shiny if the bot randomly selects you. Um and let's see. Okay. So show. We look at things. We learn. Today, we're in the realm of food. But first, we're going to be looking at some historical things, so it's important that we acknowledge and consider the history of the institution that owns the items we'll be looking at. So Virginia Tech acknowledges that we live and work on the Tutelo and Monacan people's homeland, and we recognize their continued relationships with their lands and waterways. We further acknowledge that the Morrill Land Grant College Act of 1862 enabled the Commonwealth of Virginia to finance and found Virginia Tech through the forced removal of Native nations from their lands in California and other areas in the West. Virginia Tech acknowledges that its Blacksburg campus sits partly on land that was previously the site of the Smithfield and Solitude plantations, owned by members of the Preston family. Between the 1770s and the 1860s, the Prestons and other local white families that owned parcels of what became Virginia Tech also owned hundreds of enslaved people. Enslaved Black people generated resources that financed Virginia Tech's predecessor institution, the Preston and Olin Institute, and they also worked on the construction of its building. So if you want the expanded, like longer version of that, it would be at that site there. But today, we'll be heading to the 1930s. If you were here last week, we went to the 1920s and learned about evaporated milk via papers from the Evaporated Milk Association. It was very, very informative and quite interesting, actually. Today, 1930s, with materials from the National Biscuit Company. Lord Portico's comment of, wow, stream not even started and I've learned where the name Nabisco came from. Indeed. The National Biscuit Company is better known today as Nabisco. So we have two collections. One being the Salesman's Collection, and one being a package catalog. Let's see. All I know is circa dates, circa 1930s. I honestly, beyond the name, I've not read even the descriptions here. That's my student assistant Jules has done all of that so that it can be fresh and I can encounter it with you and we can learn together. Um, the National Biscuit Company Salesman's Collection consists of materials for the use of National Biscuit Company salesmen. Amazing. Including blank order forms, a student's training guide, and a package catalog. I'm curious about this training guide. Although none of the materials are dated, they may date from about the 1930s, possibly earlier. Oh, did we drop the comment? The other one as well, Lord Portico, the VT acknowledges one. Thank you. Um, the order forms and it's okay. The order forms and student record book are empty, but a pasted in newspaper at the back of the packaging catalog suggests this may have been used by a salesman in Maine. Hello, Stephen Joyce. Last week we had milk. This week we have cookies. I mean, biscuits. uh, um, Maine. The next week is naps. Indeed, because there is no Archival Adventures next week because campus closes midday uh, for the Thanksgiving holiday break here in the US. And they lock this building and I can't stay. So Wednesday afternoon, I won't be here and it will be naps. The catalog contains some sample packaging for a range of products, as well as examples of different kinds of racks to present the products in store. I think we've seen some of those. I want to say when we were looking at the Sweet and Low and Butter Buds stuff, which is an interesting stream. We got started so late on that one, and it was complete improvisation because it was scheduled, but then there was work happening in the room where the streams happen, and I had to get the stream up and running in another location without any advance notice. It was fun. Next Wednesday on Archival Adventures, Elixir Saracen makes pie. Not on stream, though. Quite possibly, Lord Portico. Um, I keep losing my place. The order forms are all unused, but have space for quantities, products, prices, and include a note on the use of display covers. Student salesman's progress record appears to have been a training tool. Walks through the company's training program guided by the National Biscuit Company logo. And okay, I'm very curious about this one. Consists mainly of questions to be answered by trainees on the company products, raw materials, processes, advertising, and even the use of forms. The package catalog contains a single package catalog for the National Biscuit Company. Although the catalog is not dated, one item is from June 1931, suggesting the catalog is from about that time. It includes labels for more than 40 crackers, cookies, and other snack items. And the back pages include sample display racks for stores. So if you want more information than those basic descriptions, you can click through the finding aid chat message and access the actual finding aids via these links to find out whatever else you might want to know. Like, founded in 1898, the National Biscuit Company was the product of a merger among the American Biscuit and Manufacturing Company, the New York Biscuit Company, and the United States Baking Company. The new conglomerate consisted of 114 bakeries across the United States and was headquartered in New York City. Though the name Nabisco was first used as the name for a specific product introduced in 1901, a sugar wafer, and was used within the company at least as early as the 1930s, likely sooner. The corporate name was not shortened to Nabisco Incorporated until 1971. In 1981, Nabisco merged with Standard Brands Incorporated, which later became part of RJ Reynolds. It has since become part of several more mergers and separations, and is currently a subsidiary of Mondelez International. Um, so even though it's a well-known, famous brand name that people the world over know, it is just a subsidiary of one of the giant conglomerates. Anyway, like I said, I've not really looked into what the materials are, but my student assistant helpfully put little flags in, numbered, sort of telling me maybe look at things in this order, which I love. That's new. Sterling, I had not asked Sterling to do that, but when I was acquainting Jules with prepping episodes and asked her to stick flags in, I mentioned possibly marking what order, and she's done it, and I like it. So we're going to start there. This would be the National Biscuit Company, Unita Bakers, package catalog. And we're just going to start with You Need a Biscuit. What better name for a product? Right? You need a biscuit. So I also love my Jules has not just put flags in, not just numbered them, but made notes. And I love it because it gives me her observations that help to guide me and what we look at. And I think it's great. So her first comment in here is about You Need a Biscuit. Very clever and well-lined, easy to remember. Yes. I mean, it is really a clever name. So Unita Bakers is one of the company's names. Let's do I have that history actually? I'm going to look because what? Sorry. I have just discovered for myself that there's oh no. Don't tell me invalid document. I don't like that. We apparently have third item that I may end up pulling because depending on what it is, there's a photograph. Um, I don't know why I didn't notice before. I'm trying to find the history of the Unita name because it is one we will encounter quite a bit today. But that history wasn't in the note that we read a moment ago. Well, there are other sources of information. I'm going to bring up my webpage again here. Congratulations, Stephen Joyce. You've been randomly selected as VIP for the stream. Enjoy your digital gemstone. Okay, so I went and wanted to find like some history on the Unita name. Do I need a biscuit? You need a biscuit, Lord Portico. Um, and so this is from the American Business History Center. I did not know there was such a thing. Interesting. We've got logos here going back to 1900. This one is it basically reads Inner Seal. INER Seal. This one is NBC, not the National Broadcasting Corporation, the National Biscuit Company. NBC UNITA, then Nabisco, and then we get the modern versions of Nabisco. But what is this UNITA name? Let's see, from its founding in 1898, at the height of the trust era, the National Biscuit Company quickly rose to become the largest of the big branded food companies. By the 1920s, the company was far larger than such well-known companies as H.J. Heinz, Campbell's Soup, Kellogg, Hershey, and Wrigley. Few companies did more to innovate in the modern mass market of groceries than NBC, with its famous logo and red triangle. But late in the 20th century, it went through no less than 7 different ownership structures. Yet through it all, Oreos, premium saltines, Nilla wafers, and Chips Ahoy not only live on, but are stronger than ever in their history. Hi, Hannah! Enjoy your work, Lurk. Okay, so I'm not going to read the entire history because that's not what we're focused on. I'm just going to look for the UNITA information, but if you want to peruse the entire article from the American Business History Center, the link is right there. I just want to find out about this UNITA name. It's off the screen. Okay, we're going to do a search. Some of the search results were not visible on screen, which I love. Okay, let's see. All right, so we do need to mention a little bit. It looks like we need to learn a little bit about A.W. Green. Following in the footsteps of John D. Rockefeller's Standard Oil Trust, the late 1890s were the heyday of industry consolidations. I would maybe reword that to the first heyday of industry consolidations, because we definitely had another happening around the early 21st century. In virtually every industry, from thread to tin cans, Wall Street financiers and lawyers worked to create new companies that would dominate, if not monopolize, their industries. The idea was to buy up enough competitors to get control over pricing and end ruinous price wars. Hundreds of such trusts were set up. Many, perhaps most, failed when some firm outside the trust realized the profits to be made by busting the cartel through lower prices, better products, or other innovations. Nevertheless, the organizers sometimes made millions by floating new stock issues, blah, blah, blah. A group of biscuit and cracker bakers came to the Chicago law office of Adolphus W. Green in 1890. A.W. Green. They needed help consolidating their industry. This isn't. I'm just going to read it as is. I know nothing about Adolphus Green, so I can't really gainsay what their comment is, but Green was a most unusual fellow. Born in 1843, A.W. was the last of 11 children of a Boston Irish family. His father died, and his mother took in boarders to make ends meet. Despite the family's hardships, A.W.'s mother was able to put all her children through school. None stood out as much as A.W. Like his mother, he loved books and read continually. She also inspired in A.W. a love of literature, the arts, and the classics. The bright, serious boy made it into the prestigious Boston Latin School, graduated Harvard at the age of 20 in the top quarter of his class. He went off to New York City, hoping to become a lawyer. At the time, many young men became lawyers by clerking at a law firm rather than attending law school. But first, he went to work at the Mercantile Library of New York City, a private library funded by the city's wealthy business leaders as a source of knowledge for their employees. So, surrounded by books, with time to visit museums and attend theater, he became head librarian. In 1868, his contacts that he had made through the library led him into a job as a clerk for a law firm. And he passed the bar when he was 30. So he wanted to start his own firm, so he went west to Chicago. Following the Great Fire of 1871, the city was rebuilding, open to new ideas and new faces. Okay, sure. He began to work for some of the most powerful business leaders in Chicago. He got married. It was into Green's successful law office that the biscuit and cracker bakers came. They wanted his help in forming a trust, a combination that would bring together many bakers, allow them to get stock in the new company, and lessen competition. As he did throughout his life, A.W. Green studied everything he could about the biscuit and cracker industry. He soon became an expert on the business. A.W. found that every city of any size had one or two cracker bakeries. Using old-fashioned, labor-intensive production methods, these local bakeries delivered wooden barrels and boxes of crackers to stores in horse-drawn wagons. The industry's first product had been hardtack or pilot biscuits. These hard, almost indestructible, long-lasting biscuits had proven key to the sustenance of sailors and soldiers far away from the kitchens of home. Over time, the bakers added various cookies and crackers to their product lines. Most of them had well-known local brands, usually sold only within several miles of the bakeries. Bread bakeries were and are a separate industry, producing a perishable product with a much shorter shelf life and therefore even smaller trading areas. The Cracker Barrel had become the symbol of the country general store. Old timers sat around the barrels, sharing the town gossip, but the person who bought the last crackers at the bottom of the barrel often found soggy crackers, insects, and rodent droppings there. Lovely. According to legend, when one store owner was accused of having rats in his cracker barrel, he replied, "That's impossible, because the cat sleeps there." Okay, we're gonna skip ahead a little bit. This does seem like it's well written and researched. Actually, we're not going to skip ahead. I'm going to keep reading. Green saw that the industry was falling behind in an era of continuous new inventions. The railroads, together with the rise of mass magazines, led to a national market for products. Procter & Gamble had launched its first great brand, Ivory Soap, in 1879. Coca-Cola, Heinz, and other national brands were developing fast. Grocery store chains, led by the Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company, were rising as well. A.W. did not believe that the old industry structure of small bakeries around the nation could survive the changing world without consolidating. So in 1890, the 47-year-old Green helped this group of bakers incorporate the American Biscuit and Manufacturing Company. Biscuit, the British term, was considered classier than crackers. Among the 40 bakeries in 13 states included in the combine were Dozier of St. Louis, Summer Richardson of St. Joseph, Missouri, with its well-known saltines, the Luce Brothers of Kansas City, and L'Angelus of New Orleans. The largest was Bremner of Chicago with 8 ovens. The new company was the largest cracker baker in the West. Despite his newfound cracker baking expertise, Green wanted to continue to practice law and had little interest in running a cracker trust. He helped other local cracker bakers form smaller combinations. Okay. William H. Moore got involved. Moore was more interested in building businesses and making investments than practicing law. He'd become one of the top trust creators in America, over time helping create the Diamond Match Company, the American Can Company, and steel combines that ultimately formed part of U.S. Steel. So working with the largest cracker bakers in the East, in the same year, 1890, he created an even larger biscuit trust, the New York Business Company. The company was backed by top Chicago investors, including Philip Armour of meatpacking fame, railway car builder George Pullman, merchant Marshall Field, and Abraham Lincoln's son, Robert. Bringing together 8 companies with 23 bakeries in 10 states from Maryland to Maine, this company was almost 140, almost 140 ovens, was the biggest in the nation. Soon after its founding, the biggest baker in the nation, Kennedy of Cambridgeport, Massachusetts, joined the New York Biscuit Company. The Kennedy firm also had a major plant in Chicago, in the heart of American biscuits territory. In 1897, problems at the Diamond Match Company led Moore to resign. Okay. So 2 big biscuit companies. American and New York battled each other for the next several years. They expanded into each other's territories. American building a large bakery in the heart of New York City. Price competition was intense, and neither company was satisfied. After unsuccessful attempts at a ceasefire or merger, the 2 companies finally agreed to combine, creating an even larger cracker trust, the National Biscuit Company, in 1898. The National Biscuit Company, known as NBC, incorporated yet a third cracker group, the United Baking Company. The massive new trust controlled over half of the cracker and cookie business in America, with 114 bakeries and over 400 ovens, producing 360 million pounds of crackers a year. Amazing. Okay. Green was asked to be the president. He didn't want to run the company and turned it down. He agreed to chair the board of directors and serve as general counsel. And then the part that actually gets us to what I was looking for. Nevertheless, A.W. Green could not keep his eyes or his hands off the National Biscuit Company. Soon enough, he was running the show, and that is a great understatement. At the age of 55, when many men of the era might have retired, Adolphus Green began a new career while still running his law firm. With no hobbies outside his family, his books, and his love of high culture, the somber, tightly wound Green ran the company with an iron hand. A.W. Green was hell-bent on making NBC a success. Deeply understanding both the cracker industry and the changes sweeping the nation, he insisted the company develop a brand name and a product which it could ship anywhere in the nation, a product that would not go stale too soon and could be shipped long distances. Soon after the company was founded, he focused on the soda cracker, the biggest seller. A.W. left no stone unturned as he sought his ideal product. The design had to be right, the recipe had to be perfect, it had to be packaged and sanitary, not sold by the barrel, and it needed a great name. Working with the nation's first great advertising agency, N.W. Ayer of New York, he picked the name You Need a Biscuit. So it's all the product of marketing to call it UNITA. Okay, AW never delegated much authority, making every detailed decision himself. He told the bakeries how to make the product. He made up manuals for selling the new crackers. He approved every label, every font, every capital letter on the package. His people developed the revolutionary inner seal package, which kept the crackers fresh, inventing new machines to make and fill the packages. Green decided to avoid the traditional method of distributing grocery products through wholesalers. He instead created agencies across America with their own horse-drawn, highly decorated wagons, delivering the NBC products directly to retailers. Against all advice, Green kept the price of the crackers low, a nickel a package. His bakers told him he would lose money at that price, but he was immovable. Working with ad agency Ayer, Green developed a character for his products, a boy in a yellow rain slicker, indicating that NBC's crackers stayed dry even in damp weather. And then you get the logos. In coming up with a trademark and logo for the company, Green studied his books and discovered an old Venetian printer's mark that he liked, an oval with a double cross above it. This became the NBC symbol on every package. I love this parenthetical. We at the American Business History Center have noted that most great business creators were perfectionists, but we have not studied anyone more obsessed with details than Adolphus W. Green. Before the end of NBC's first year in business, Unita biscuits hit the market in their new, carefully designed packages. Green spent more money in advertising the product than had ever been seen in the cracker business. $7 million in the first 10 years. He plastered cities and countryside with signs and ads. Tolerated no mistakes. Unita cadets were sent out into the field to buy up any old Unita biscuits that were no longer fresh. The company, led by an attorney, sued competitor after competitor to stop the use of such names as I Wanna and You Wanna biscuits. Interesting. Okay, I think that gives me enough history on the name Unita and where it was from. So let's go back to the actual archival document that we're looking at. So we've got, so this is the product catalog. And of course we have Unita Biscuit, which we just read about. And you can see the little National Biscuit Company, the circle with the double cross above it, logo in the corners there. But let's see, what else? It was their first new product sold after the creation of NBC in 1898. Unita Biscuit was not discontinued until 2009. What? If anybody sees Elixir pop into chat, let me know, because that photograph sounds interesting. I'm very curious now. It was discontinued in 2009. I want to see, like, what did a modern package look like? I've only ever seen the old ones. If anybody can find a 21st century Unita biscuit package represented online somewhere, please share the link. Inspired the creation of the inner seal packaging, which used an outside tin can and then internal wrapping with wax paper. It changed packaging as a whole because the crackers lasted longer. These are excellent little historical notes that Jules has put on the little highlight flag. That's really stellar work. I'm very happy. Hi, Galara Dragon. So yes, okay. Unita Baker's premium soda crackers, salted. Vanilla marshmallow sandwich. I suppose that would be like a moon pie? A marshmallow sandwich? Please let me know if anybody has any, some more possibly. And yes, Stephen. I'm gonna just, I don't think it would be an issue, but I'm gonna permit anyway. I don't think that you would have gotten in trouble because you're a regular and I have it set for that, but oh, copy that and throw it into this browser. It's a modern day You Need a Biscuit package. Thank you. I had no idea that they went all the way into the 21st century. But yeah, that is, it's sitting on the shelf right next to Easy Cheese. Amazing. And it's, look at the price label here on the shelf. Oh, it actually, yeah, they kept similar design elements with the border is the same, like the brown with the border, all of that is the same. Nabisco, it's the new, like the evolution of the logo, but oh, it won't let me zoom in any further, but the price label, NBC, You Need a Biscuit. So whatever company this is being sold at is abbreviating Nabisco NBC, which makes total sense considering that was their initials and part of their company brand for a long time. I remember my dad telling me when I was a kid that Nabisco came from National Biscuit Company. Honestly, I don't know why he chose to impart me with so much esoteric knowledge. Hey, esoteric knowledge is fun. So vanilla wafers, these would be Nilla wafers. They're called Nilla wafers today. But that's what those would be, and they're an essential ingredient in southeastern US banana pudding. You Need a Baker's Zuzu ginger snaps. Zuzu is apparently trademarked. You Need a graham crackers. Neat. Okay, let's see. That was just flag number 1. I want to see. I'm gonna follow because being guided through them is fun. The recent pick was taken in 2007. That's just 2 years before they were discontinued. Okay. So 2 and 3, the items flagged 2 and 3 by Jules are the student salesman's progress record, which absolutely I agree. I'm very curious about this the training manual for student salespeople. Student salesman branch. Sorry, I'm actually at the moment distracted by the type of binding. Because you can buy a folder cover just like this today. And this one is from the 1930s. That would be an interesting question, Stephen Joyce. Whether they had varied the design and just brought back the classic one at some point, or whether it had maintained those design elements all along. Okay, let's see. Comments from Jules. You Need a Biscuit Boy or Slicker Boy because of his yellow raincoat. meant to show that NBC biscuits stay dry even in damp weather because of the inner seal, one of the most recognized / popular ads of the early 20th century. NBC was selling around 10 million Unita biscuits a month in 1900. So she flagged this one because it has the illustration of the boy in the raincoat. But this is like, for a salesperson, they needed to have company trivia on the off the top of their head. When was the National Biscuit Company formed? How did Nabisco completely change the baking industry? I also love, look at their logo with the circle with the double cross above it that apparently became an animated character or an illustrated character. That's honestly kind of frightening. List some of the factors that contributed to Nabisco's growth. What was our first packaged bakery product? What was the Unita boy designed to represent? How did the Nabisco seal originate? List the advantages you will have as a Nabisco salesman. Oh, a lot of people needed a biscuit, yeah. It does look like an antenna. I've always thought that. Like, it looks like an aerial that would go on top of like a television set. But it's from before television sets. And it was inspired by something that he had seen even earlier, like an even earlier thing that he had seen in Europe. But yeah, my first thought was a television aerial. So they designed aerials after the Nabisco logo. Quite possibly. All right, let's see. Student Salesman Guide that covers background history, raw materials and baking, packaging and advertising, selling and merchandising, and forms. Essentially a practice test / questionnaire for new hires. Stresses importance of advertising. I'm sorry, the Nabisco logo as a character is still just freaking me out a little bit. Welcome to Nabisco. I'm going to act as your guide, assisting you through your training. I'll point out. Oh God. Sorry. It took me until I started reading number 2 to notice that he was sitting on the salesperson's shoulder. Elixie, I think it is Clippy. Also, hi Elixie. If by any chance you happen to have a second, would you mind grabbing for me MS 2017-018? It's a one folder, the National Biscuit Company photograph. I didn't know it existed until we were looking at things today, and it sounds interesting, so I would like to share it. But only if you're able to. I'll point out and highlight things which you should know before you attempt to sell Nabisco products. And now, let me clear up a point about your training. True, your performance is being judged daily. Awesome, thank you, Alexi. However, you must remember that this is being done with a definite purpose in mind. Id est, we want to do everything in our power to help you to become a successful member of our sales organization. Oh dear. Hi, Meridu. In a nutshell, the benefits you will derive from this training program can be summed up as follows. A, the learning how period will be shorter. B, your progress will be more rapid. C, your association with Nabisco will be mutually beneficial. This is triggering multiple memories for me of similar sort of like training introductions that I have had from various companies. from, geez, Toys R Us, Disney, Wells Fargo, and when I was a waiter at a sandwich shop called Spanky's, uh, that one, in some ways, having to memorize that menu feels very similar to some of this. The although it was much less corporate there. Company history. First packaged product. Consumer acceptance. National distribution, product development, our trademark. Oh boy. The logo as a character is actually just really terrifying. I have never seen that logo and thought of it as a character, and I don't know that I will ever unsee it now. Okay. Raw materials. Those lips with Mickey Mouse arms and legs. Yeah, exactly. It's that's like the arms and legs aren't disturbing. It's the mouth. I like this, sure. It's like forehead lines. It's the mouth. It's disturbing. Molasses, peanuts, sugar, spices, flour, raisins, chocolate, salt, shortening, figs, cheese, and eggs. Ooh, this has you can see some mildew damage on the paper here, that at some point in time it had too much moisture. What? Oh gosh. Again, it's a quiz, but we don't have the answer sheet. So, what does quality baking start with? Why is it necessary for Nabisco to obtain its raw materials from all parts of the world? Where does Nabisco operate flour mills? How is flour shipped from mills to bakery? Why is it necessary to blend flour? Why are all raw materials carefully checked at the laboratory? List the types of flour used in baking. How much do we use of each of the following in a year? Coconut, eggs, cheese, raisins, figs, and molasses. The amount of information that they expect them to have memorized is fairly staggering. But I also understand, because at that time, these salespeople would have been going to, like, it would have been like door-to-door sales, except it would have been going to grocery stores and meeting with a representative at the grocery store who would have questions about the product. Thank you. And so they would need to have the answers. The lines look like eyebrows, giving it a stern look. Kind of, yeah. Well, but then the stern look of the eyebrows mixed with that mouth is just, it's weird. Anyway, baking. Oh, this one's surrounded by product names. Oreo, sugar wafers, Ritz, premiums, snowflakes, Ritz. Ritz is on there twice. You need a biscuit, graham crackers, dandy oyster crackers. Ritz is on there 4 times. Premiums is on there twice. Snowflakes is on there twice. Lorna Doone, Devil's Food Squares, Mickey Mouse crackers. Well, the Mickey Mouse arms make sense now. It's, why did they put Ritz on there 4 times? Where and why? How does Nabisco maintain uniformity? Basic types of ovens. Sponge goods differ from sweet goods. Various types of iced goods. I guess those would be like iced cookies and stuff. Why are some varieties sprayed? Products other than crackers and cookies. When was shredded wheat first marketed? Why do we use a porous type of package for shredded wheat? I don't know the answers to these. If anybody has speculation or can find the answers, I would be interested. Hi, Key Squared. Finally escaped your meeting and you can come see the biscuits. Our sugar wafer was the first to appear on the market. When was it introduced? How does Holland Rusk differ from Zwieback? Zwieback, sorry. I'm familiar with Zwieback, but I don't know what Holland Rusk is. Why is Nabisco cracker meal made from unshortened crackers? Where does Nabisco operate? An exclusive pretzel bakery? Cone bakery? What advantages does Milkbone have over other dog foods? 2 types of fruitcake we bake. The sudden introduction of Milkbone into the mix was another unexpected thing. What is Holland Rusk? Specially crafted in the Netherlands. Holland. Oh, well, this is specifically referring to the Roland brand. Light and airy, crisp rounds that are lightly sweet and have a melt in your mouth crumbly texture. I will share this image in just a second, but I'm also going to find the other product so that we can. So that the quiz was asking the difference between the Holland Rusk and the Zwieback. So this is a Holland Rusk. And oh, I suppose I shall zoom out. Those are Zwieback. Oh, hello, welcome in 16-bit Eric. Hello, Whimsies. Welcome, Raiders. To Archival Adventures. I am Rogan27, also known as Anthony Wright de Hernandez, Community Collections Archivist here at Virginia Tech. And this is a once weekly show where we look at things from the archives and see what we can learn. Most of the time, I am not familiar with the materials and I'm barely ever an expert on them, so we learn together. Today, we are looking at the National Biscuit Company, better known today as Nabisco, but specifically materials from the 1930s. So, welcome in. And if anybody here is not following 16-bit Eric, you should follow 16-bit Eric. He has a wonderful community. He is a wonderful storyteller, and you won't regret it. Hi, Krath, and Shadows of Life, and Pretty Witchery. We rated Toast. Hi, Blue Rooster. Yeah, so we're looking at a training manual for NBC salesmen. And one of the questions was asking them the difference between Holland Rusk and Zwieback. So these are Holland Rusk, and those are Zwieback. So I would start with shape. I also don't think that these are sweet. And the Holland Rusk ones are slightly sweet, apparently. I don't know. If anybody has experience eating them and wants to share, please do. Also, yes, the Nabisco logo is a character with arms and legs. Only Rusk I know is the one you give to babies. Packaging. Why is package design important? How does Nabisco affect brand identification on its packages? Paperboard. They make their own paperboard and cartons. Interesting. We don't have the answers for most of this stuff. Just this is like a quiz book for pretty butchery. Yes, the mouth is terrifying. So this is all 1930s. So premium, that's a brand of saltines, a brand name for saltines. Wait, Ritz 70, Ritz 99, Ritz cheese crackers. Maybe that's why Ritz was listed 4 times on that illustration. Nabisco sugar honey grams, shredded wheat, fig Newtons, cakes, vanilla wafers, premium saltines, devil's food squares, cello, waffle creams, anniversary assortment, chocolate grams, old-fashioned ginger snaps, Gaiety cream sandwich. You need a biscuit. Oreo cream sandwich, fancy crest. Interesting. Barnum's Animals, the animal crackers. Ooh. Oh, no, this is just more questions for the salesperson to prove that they know the material, and I just the illustrated character is terrifying. Just really, really kind of terrifying. Okay, let's see. We get some illustrations of like how to place things on the shelves. And this is like 1930s, so things that today are sort of like, why would anybody need to be shown how to do that? And historical terms. In this case, the phrase here is not referring to the more immediate. It's not referring to racial segregation. It's referring to separating your product from someone else's product. Okay. I think I'm done looking at this book. I'm happy to bring it back if anybody has things they want to see from it. But now I'm going to, thankfully, Elixir was able to pop in and bring me the National Biscuit Company photograph that I did not know existed until we started the stream. And so we get to look, it's just a single photograph. It's not like a ton of information, except that it's a picture. So there's nothing on the back. But we have a glossy photo of, it looks like they're in front of a National Biscuit Company building. We've got some National Biscuit Company trucks. Based on the front grill and the shape there, I don't know, what did we have down as the date for this? It's undated. I'm thinking that this is also going to be circa 1930s, just based on the front grille of the trucks. Trucks of this type in the 1920s would probably have been electric and therefore would not have had the large engine compartment on the front. We've looked at those electric vehicles on stream before. These have design elements of that grille, the shape and things that say probably 1930s. We're not looking at 1940s design elements yet. But these are definitely gas powered, not electric. So I'm guessing, just based on looking at those elements, I'm guessing 1930s, but I don't know for sure. Also the hats, although fedoras on men, it's hard to pin down a decade just from that. I need a woman in the picture. You can pick the decade by eyebrows. Also, we could, if we specifically knew more about the packaging and the dates of different packaging elements for You Need a Biscuit, it's possible we could date it by like the ad for premium crackers or things like that. The NBC You Need a Biscuit, or the NBC logo here of the double cross on the circle, that one is sorry, it's NBC with UNITA below it. So that logo was in use from 1923 until 1940. So my guess of the 1930s era is probably not super far off. It could be very early 40s, but this logo was only in use, like they went to the word Nabisco inside the circle in 1941. So, but that's how, like, we don't know specifically the date of this photograph, but by looking at elements like that, we can start to approximate and come up with a circa date for it. They've got brick pavers outside this plant with shop delivery vans, which all of those elements together, it's really similar to one of the photos that we looked at in the electric vehicles episode of a Heinz delivery vans. But those were all electric, where these are not. Anyway, all these salespeople in their suits, holding the premium crackers. I guess those are displays. So he's a driver. These others, the ones in the fedoras, are salesmen. At least. But then this guy here is in a suit without a hat, but he's holding the display. This guy over here has a fedora on, but he doesn't have one of the displays. This guy isn't in a suit, and he does have one of the displays. I think this guy's another driver. But I don't know for certain. Anyway, I just thought that when I saw that there was a photograph, I thought it would be interesting to see. And Elixir was kind enough to bring it in. Thank you. Okay. This is me trying to put it back in the plastic sleeve so that I don't get my skin oils all over the glossy photo. That's why I was wearing a glove, because glossy. Okay, let's continue with the guided tour that was laid out for us by Jules. The two not holding the display are driver, one sans hat is a factory worker. Possibly. That's also possible, Shadows. Okay, let's see. This has some commentary. I appreciate the clarification, Shadows. All right, so this is blank forms, it looks like. Oh yes, of course, the NRA. This is the 1930s NRA, not the National Rifle Association that uses those letters today. This is the National Recovery Administration. And NBC was an affiliate. We've encountered that logo on some other stuff recently. It was part of the first New Deal established by FDR, meant to bring industry, labor, government together to create codes of fair practice, popular among workers, ruled unconstitutional in 1935, claimed it infringed on the principle of separation of powers. So that's the note from Jules all about the NRA logo, which I appreciate the historical context there. Also, we don't often encounter this. Hi, Castaboris. We don't. I'm surprised we don't see this more. I'm going to zoom in specifically here. Telephone, Granite 7648. We don't. I don't see very many phone numbers in this format in our materials. Things are either too early for phones or late enough that they're not this form. So I don't often encounter these. I'm curious looking at it because the GRA are larger and are the same size as the numbers. And this is entirely theoretical because I don't know. But I'm wondering if you could dial a 7-digit number, dialing GRA 7648. Because when phone numbers initially came out that were the exchange with a number, you would just ring up the operator and ask to be connected to Granite 7648. So I'm wondering if this is a transitional period for phone numbers where you can dial on like a rotary dial, and you use the 3 digits that would represent the beginning of the exchange with the actual phone number itself. That's what it looks like to me, but I'm not super familiar with the transition from exchange name number to all numbers. So if anybody does know, that would be interesting. Otherwise, it's just a form, like an order form. But I am curious about let's see. See if I can find anything. Huh. Okay. We're going to be briefly glancing at something from the IndyStar website, which is the Indianapolis Star, but they talk about it. Way too much usage of the word biscuit for how often you have had to explain that you do not, in fact, mean the cousin to scones. Well, so the National Biscuit Company chose to use the word biscuit to represent cookies and crackers because it was more posh. It was higher class than using the word cracker. Okay, so this was my curiosity here. So this is remember when phone numbers started with letters by Kathy Knapp, written in 2015. One of the first things I had to learn growing up was my home phone number. Melrose 75833, where ME is capitalized. And then another reference here to state 43437, telephone numbers that started with words. We have a certain age. Remember when telephone numbers used to start with names instead of digits? The first two letters of the name were usually capitalized, and they corresponded to the first two digits of the phone number on a dial. This system started in the 1930s and lasted well into the 60s. Before that, 3 letters and 4 numbers were used. The phone exchange was prior to area codes and prefixes. The exchange names did more than provide a phone number. They identified the area of the city where you lived. If you have ever wondered why telephones have letter designations, it is a leftover from the days of alphanumeric phone numbers, when people needed to know which letters were covered by which numbers. I honestly had never thought about that, but it makes total sense. So, like, because it was the specific telephone exchange was named and then a number. And so the transitional period, when as I suspected from looking at this order form where GRA is capitalized, you could just dial the numbers corresponding to GRA and then 7648 to connect to that phone number. But that's why there are letters that associate with the numbers on telephones. Was because before they were names. And so the transition you had to, that, the things you learn just by randomly looking at, this is just a blank order form. It's not terribly interesting on its own. But it's the first time on stream that we have encountered a phone number that was formatted this way. And my brain goes on tangents, which is ultimately good for this show. Okay, let's see. What's next? I think oh, yep. We've got another page in here. I remember not needing to dial an area code for someone. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It used to just be, like when I was a kid, we only had to dial 7 digits. And then at some point, you started to have to dial 10. And when I was a kid, like, and I'd go to my grandparents' house, you could just dial 5 digits. You didn't even have to dial the first 2 if it was a local call. All right. Huston Bakery, NBC in Maine. Emphasis on American industry and production. Nabisco currently owns the largest bakery in the world, which is located in Chicago, 1,800,000 square feet with 1,200 workers. Your friend in another city lives 7.5 hours away at 7 digits. Yeah, when yeah, I actually think when I was really young, we could go to my grandparents' house and just dial 4 digits. I know later it was 5. And then, of course, now if we went there, you'd have to dial 10. But I think when I was really little, you could just dial 4. And that was basically for the entire, like, 3 counties in that area. It was not very populous. Millions of crackers and cookies made in Maine, in a Maine bakery for Maine people. I love the photo here. The logo, the stuff on the building. The Down East Bakers. T.A. Huston and Company Bakers of Better Biscuits. I don't think we'll be able to make out whatever the white sign is below that, though. And the facing page has shredded wheat. The home of shredded wheat, Niagara Falls. Ready cooked, ready to eat, to restore crispness, heat before serving. Wait, you had to heat shredded wheat to make it crispy? That's a new one on me, but this would have been before it was inside of a, like, plastic bag inside the package. Also, I did not realize that Niagara Falls was the home of shredded wheat. What did I do? Oh, I was looking for this because I thought I had pulled out the one from the other box, which is the next one that we're going to look at. And when I looked over, I had expected, anyway, you had the big shredded wheat, and then the spoon size. Yeah, my grandfather always used to just get the big shredded wheat. All right, so this is the collection that's just a product catalog. And I love having these little flags with the historical notes. It's really nice to have the guidance of somebody who had time to actually sit with it and look at it, and to be able to just at least have some knowledge, despite the fact that I've never seen it before. Let's see, trademarked display stands. Promotion almost makes it seem free for retailers, but I could be wrong. All right. You need a baker's display rack. 4-caddy display rack. An all-steel type of display rack. And they've got a 6-caddy one. Interesting. What? I'm curious what these in the middle are. Like I'm zooming in by moving it closer to the camera, but I can't make out what it says. I don't know what these are. Are those Fig Newtons? Anyway. You need a baker's display rack. June 1931. Every good retailer appreciates the importance of proper display in stimulating quick stock turnover. The National Biscuit Company is prepared to furnish You Need a Baker's display racks in 2 sizes, 4 and 6 cake caddy capacities. These all-pressed steel racks are manufactured by the J.G. Brill Company, Philadelphia, attractively finished, and are therefore an asset to the fixtures of any retail store. So by this saying are prepared to furnish, yeah, I would agree. I think that means that the retailer gets the caddy for free, which why would you not accept that? All right, and some other displays here. 4Q zip rack. It seems similar to the other displays that we just looked at. Package bin. L, Q, and cover. I don't know what the Q, it's model Q. 12Q zip rack. Nabs container. And a 6Q zip rack. I have no idea. But those are fairly consistent to sort of displays that we would expect to see today, except that today, the only things that would be on these displays would be bubble gum and Tic Tacs and other like grab it at the register type things. Queen James the First, thank you so much for the follow. Let's see. There's a 7, 18, 11, 7. Okay. Oh, nabs. Nibble a nab for a nickel. That's actually a good slogan. When did NBC, like, there had to be overlap between when they were NBC and the television network was NBC. Let's see. Arguably their most long-lasting product after Ritz was Nilla wafers. That's on the next page. One of the earliest products introduced in 1902, changed from... Okay, so these are all about the next page, but right now I'm showing off the nabs. 5 cents. Nibble a nab for a nickel. Nabs peanut butter patties. All right. No, I want the National Broadcasting Company. I need to know now. Are you not gonna... That's annoying. Google not responding the way that I expected to. The National Broadcasting Company was founded in 1926. But when did it start going by NBC? (1926) by the Radio Corporation of America, RCA, then owned by GE, Westinghouse, AT&T, United Fruit Company. But I think it was formed as NBC. So that's interesting. I mean, it would have been different industries, so maybe they weren't concerned about people confusing them, because NBC here is food and NBC on the radio and then later on the television is media, not food. And back in the 20s, people wouldn't wonder if the same NBC was selling the food products as was doing the television and radio stuff. Where today, we would wonder. because it's entirely possible that the media conglomerate would own the company. Anyway, you need a baker's Saltina biscuit. Just a little salty. So this is before it became saltines. It was Saltina. Interesting. Vanilla wafers. Exactly the same product as today. Well, in look, at least. I have no idea about actual ingredients or anything like that. Saltina is a better name. I think Saltina is a pretty good name. And then there's the butter thin biscuit. It weirds me out seeing NBC on a biscuit. Like regular Tina, but sassier. Yeah. Oh, I like that. It's just weird to me to see NBC on cookies and crackers, because NBC to me is a TV station. Oh, we've got another with the Saltina brand here, the same one, but then Oreo. Oreo is one of their most successful products of all time. It was a ripoff of their competitors, Loose Wiles Sunshine Hydrox sandwich cookie. To you, NBC is a movie. Nightmare Before Christmas. Yeah, so Oreo, the cookie that we all have heard of, I assume. I shouldn't assume. It's entirely possible there's somebody watching this who has never heard of an Oreo. Your kiddo calls the cookies O's and the cream Rees. That would make sense. That's very logical. But yeah, I love the note that Jules put in here. Oreos were a ripoff of their competitor's product. Put them in different orders for Rios. All right, Hydrox was introduced in 1908. Currently owned by Leaf Brands. I have no idea who Leaf Brands is. They used to be owned by Kellogg's, and before that Keebler, and before that Sunshine. I wanted this picture. So these are the cookies that National Biscuit was copying when they made Oreos. These are Hydrox. And they are the original, but less well known, although still available today. Welcome back, Hannah. Name really makes a difference. Hydrox sounds chemical. Are Hydrox from the US? Yes. So Hydrox, originally they were made by Sunshine Biscuits, which was the Loose Wiles Biscuit Company. It's the company, let's see. Let me look here. So was an independent baker of an independent American baker of cookies, crackers, and cereals. Became a brand on a few products such as Cheez-It. It was purchased by Keebler in '96, which was purchased by Kellogg in 2001. The Hydrox cookies, though, were whoops. In 2014, Hydrox cookies. Let's see. And now I'm looking into the history. Kellogg's removed Droxy's from the market in 2003. Okay. Sunshine was purchased by Keebler in '96, and in '99, Keebler replaced Hydrox with a similar but reformulated product called Droxy's. Keebler was acquired by Kellogg's in 2001. Kellogg's removed Droxy's from the market in 2003. Kellogg's then marketed a similar chocolate sandwich cookie under the famous Amos brand, along with sandwich cookies of other flavors, but also discontinued the line. On the cookie's 100th birthday, Kellogg's resumed distribution of Hydrox under the Sunshine label in late August 2008 in direct response to 1,300 phone calls from fans, as well as an online petition with 1,000 signatures. A Hydrox fan website with the essay Nonconformists Don't Eat Oreos, and dozens of forum posts asking that production resume. The cookies were available nationally for a limited time, and less than 1 year later, Kellogg's removed Hydrox from their website. The Carvel ice cream franchise sold ice cream goods manufactured with Hydrox cookie crumbs until 2012. They used the cookies' all kosher status as a selling point because the original Oreos recipe had lard. In 2014, Leaf Brands registered the Hydrox trademark, which had been abandoned by former owner Kellogg's. Leaf began production of its own version of Hydrox on September 4th, 2015, at their facility in Vernon, California. In 2017, it was changed to remove artificial flavors that had been used for 50 years, and the company obtained non-GMO certification. Yeah. So there's a continuous path for Hydrox that ends with Kellogg's, and then at least 2 years after they were no longer even supplying cookie crumbs to Carvel, Leaf Brands registered Hydrox as a trademark because Kellogg's had abandoned it and started manufacturing their own. It's interesting history. They also, it looks like there was some sort of dispute with Mondelez, who is the top level company that owns Oreo now, because apparently they were hiding Hydrox cookies from customers on store shelves. I would have to dig into those references. I don't know. Hydrox sounds like a laundry detergent. This is true. But yeah, so Oreo definitely became the bigger name, and sort of, even though it was a copy of the Hydrox cookies, Oreo is sweeter. The filling inside is sweeter in Oreos than like the Hydrox cookies had a less sweet filling. So, but also Big Newtons, which again, if you buy Fig Newtons today, it's the same company that was Unita Baker's National Biscuit Company, that now is Mondelez International, but Fig Newtons are old. They've been around a while. The graham crackers, the vanilla flavor sugar wafers. Of course, this is all Nabisco, National Biscuit Company. Nabisco. And some of you might be familiar with the sugar wafers. Trying to find a good image that I could show. This will work. Maybe. No, I don't want to buy them. Thank you. I just want to show the picture. Okay. So, the sugar wafers that have been referenced a couple times in these things, and that old Nabisco sugar wafers vanilla flavor logo, it's these cream-filled wafers that you may be familiar with. I am familiar with them in vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry flavors. But yeah, they've been around forever too. This is interesting because we've looked at some food history stuff before, but never one that had so many brands that are still active today. Some where it was like, oh yeah, I remember hearing about that brand in the past, but no, this is just like, oh yeah, this brand that you know, it's been around forever, because these are all from the 1930s, and here we have Triscuit. Made from shredded wheat. And then this shredded wheat ad here, Jules notes, is from 1 year after Nabisco bought the rights to the shredded wheat company in 1928. So this is from copyright 1929. This is the 2 biscuits, shredded wheat, as made since 1893. It's all in the shreds. Triscuits look different. I mean, honestly, these Triscuits are basically just shredded wheat, but thinner. So the same, like the large shredded wheat that now, of course, most people I think are more familiar with the shredded mini wheats that are frosted. It's essentially the same thing, except that Triscuits have oil and salt and are thinner and flat like a cracker, instead of being the sort of rounded pillows that are sold as the shredded wheat breakfast cereal. But it's still made with shredded wheat. I don't know if the production process is the same. I would assume it's the same, and that the only real difference is that these are made to be flatter instead of pillow shaped and have different seasoning. That would be interesting to look into. And then the Holland Rusk that we were put onto from the salesman's training book. America's finest toast. Okay, let's see what this says. The original Holland Rusk, America's finest toast, is made of fresh eggs, pure pasteurized milk and cream, and the most glutinous flour, baked and toasted to a rich golden brown, light, crisp, and flaky with a delicious, distinctive flavor. A pleasing substitute for heavy biscuits and rolls. For infants, crush a rusk. Soak with boiling water and sweeten. Infants thrive on it. Beware of imitations under similar names. Each package of original Holland Rusk bears the windmill trademark. Delicious with poached or fried eggs. Holland Rusk Bakery, National Biscuit Company, Unita Bakers. I don't think I've ever actually had Holland Rusk. It's just never really been a thing in my life that you would buy toast. You would buy bread and toast it. I never really had the experience of buying toast. So I'm not terribly familiar with those products. If anybody has had that product and wants to share, please do. Okay. Another, this was specifically flagged to call out the Fig Newtons, which is still one of Nabisco's most popular products. But you also get the tea biscuit, the social biscuit. I believe these are still sold today too. I'm not sure. I think the name has changed a bit, but I'm pretty sure that product is also still made. The dinner biscuit, serve with soups, salad, and oysters. Based on the illustration, I don't think these are oyster crackers, but that was where my brain went. I think they're bigger than that. But yeah, Fig Newtons. Cheese clips. Those are basically Cheez-Its, except Cheez-It was a competitor's product. So this would appear to be their competitor product to Cheez-It. I had never heard of cheese clips before. And then we have toasted whole wheat dainties. Those are basically just refined hardtack, like saltine type crackers. Okay, let's see. Nabs. Nabs. So these are Nabs is not a product in itself. Nabs, nibble a nab for a nickel. These are the small packages in the checkout lane. This is like grabbing a candy bar at the checkout lane. Packaged sandwich cookies, still called nabs, by many older people, especially in the South, because of Nabisco's packaging and tagline. Interesting. So the packaged sandwich cookies are still referred to as nabs many places in the South. I did not know that. Created to be sold in the new popular invention of vending machines. These were specifically made for vending machines. Interesting. So you get the Fig Newtons, nibble a nab for a nickel. The raisin fruit biscuit. I don't think that's a product that is still around. Peanut butter sandwich, those are definitely still around. And then the chocolate milk patties. Although the one we saw earlier was peanut butter patties. Neat. I always have some fun with the food ones because I don't know this stuff. I'm not a food historian, but a lot of times I know the products. Huh, okay. So we've got the National Arrowroot Biscuit. I'm not familiar with that one. If I had a nab for every nickel, I'd have 2 nabs. National Zwieback Toast. I guess Zwieback means toast? I don't know. A nutritious, slightly sweetened toast, delicately flavored, made with finest creamery butter. Its 2 bakings and open texture make it easily digestible. Excellent with milk, good for everybody, and especially for children and invalids. Similar to the Holland Rusk, both of them are no longer produced by Nabisco. Thought to be good for teething children and sick people. And the dry, crunchy texture was thought to help alleviate pain. Cracker meal? Made from whole, fresh, unshortened crackers. Is that just cracker crumbs? I don't know. I remember coming across people eating Zwieback in books when I was a kid and being terribly confused because you'd never heard of it. Yeah, if you'd never heard of it, then you wouldn't know. These are just all fascinating to me. Not super well known, but Lorna Doone cookies are still sold. Likely invented by an Irish immigrant and named after an English romance novel, though exact origins of creation and naming are still somewhat a mystery. Oh, the Zwieback are like rusks, but from egg dough. I've definitely seen Lorna Doones. I didn't know the little trivia bit about that. Supposedly they are named after an English romance novel. The 5 o'clock tea biscuit, the Lorna Doones, social tea biscuit, malted milk crackers. I'm familiar with malted milk balls. I am not familiar with malted milk crackers. Interesting. Okay. Oh. Unsurprisingly, oyster crackers. Or Erster crackers, depending on how you feel like pronouncing it. Oh, which is not what was being flagged here, but. And then you need a baker's special commons, which I'm guessing is another type of cracker. I have no idea though. But what was being flagged here was Milkbone. Because why should we limit ourselves just to people food? Milkbone, owned by Nabisco from 1931 till 2006, only pet food ever sold by the company. Nabisco started advertising Milkbone as better for dogs' health and teeth. I don't know what makes them dandy, Blue Rooster. 1930s, and they were selling Milkbone for dogs. It's the only pet food they ever sold. Interesting. I didn't know Milkbone was that old. I mean, we can look up the Dandy oyster crackers if we want to know where the Dandy name comes from. Let me see what I can find. I mean, today they sell premium oyster crackers. Hmm. Apparently, they were sold under that name until very recently. And were discontinued because of contamination in oyster fisheries in Korea? I don't understand that. I'm not finding a lot of like quick info about specifically Dandy oyster crackers, so I have no idea why that was their name. That one seems like it might take a little bit more research. Okay. I think there's only 2 flags. So while it is technically time for the stream to end, I say we look at these last 2 pages. Unita Baker's Saratoga Flakes and cheese clips. But that's not what was being flagged. Townerville Folks. I have no idea what this is, but let's see. Townerville Folks. Tunerville. The Tunerville Trolley that meets all the trains was a popular newspaper cartoon that started in the Chicago Post in 1908 and then became a national favorite. It ran from 1908 until 1955 and was centered around the lives of suburbanites we would now call commuters. Due to its popularity, it was used promotionally on Nabisco animal crackers in 1930. Interesting. You need a lunch biscuit. Honestly, those New York advertising people who came up with Unita it's really good wordplay. The whole Unita biscuit thing. Oh, I know what this one's all about. Oh, look, we have the Saltina biscuit. But this has got to be flagged for Barnum's Animal Crackers. Yep. Barnum's Animal Crackers. Redesigned in 2016 due to pressure from animal rights activists, the animals now roam free on the packaging. Barnum and Bailey actually never had anything to do with the cracker. It was patented before strict copyright laws. The saltfish pretzels? Couldn't find any info, but some of the most unique and interesting packaging. I like that comment. I'm curious, the saltfish pretzels, I wonder if those Um, I wonder if those evolved into goldfish. Was not worth it. Yeah, you're on the same wavelength. How about this one? Egg. I have no idea what was in this package because it's a bakery that sells cookies and crackers. They didn't sell eggs. So what was in this package? I don't know. This was fun. I learned quite a bit. Egg cracklet crackers? What are those, Concilians? I have never heard of those. No idea. Fish-shaped pretzel crackers. Yeah, that I suspect. So I don't know who makes. Let's see. Goldfish are made by Pepperidge Farm. I wonder though if they were in some way inspired by these saltfish pretzels. Obi, I do remember the jingle. Yes. According to the Google machine, goldfish crackers are part of the Pepperidge Farm family, may have originated in Switzerland. Yeah. But fish-shaped pretzels, I have no idea what these egg cracklet cracker things are. Thick, square-shaped biscuits that originated in the Philippines. Also known as galletas de patatas. They're potato crackers. Also called galletas de huevos, egg crackers, because they're glazed with egg white. I suppose it's possible that that would be what that was. I have no idea. If you scroll down a little, you can find the same package for the saltfish pretzels. Okay, I do have to. I do have to wind down though. I sadly can't just look at old um, food packaging for the rest of the day. I have other things that must get done. So this was fun though. This was a nice. It was interesting. I learned stuff, but also it's fun to like. There's a reason we did food things last week and this week. You need a wind down? Yes, some silica. Um, so next week is American or Thanksgiving. So it's Thanksgiving in the United States. For anybody who doesn't know, it's a harvest festival type thing. You gather with your community, your family, whoever, and have a large feast of autumn type foods. It's high calorie. Um, it's a thing. It's also the start of the US holiday season generally, and involves many people traveling distances. So if anybody will be traveling over the next week, I wish you good travels. Yeah, it's a whole thing. I enjoyed the cranberry recipes you shared for Thanksgiving a few years back. Yes, Galara. Um, so this year we did, leading into Thanksgiving, I was like, oh, let's do food things. And so we ended up with evaporated milk last week and National Biscuit Company this week. Um, there is no Archival Adventures next week, sadly, because I will already be on vacation time at this time next week because campus will be closed and I will be locked out of the building. So I will not be working. But the week after, on December 4th, we will be heading back to speculative fiction with the fourth in the Sam Moskowitz stories that he called classics in 1940, Manna from Mars by Stanton Koblitz. Stanton Koblitz, don't know them. Yes, Monday, I will be doing a game stream on Monday for Chance of Senar because it's amazing. And then the 11th of December, we will be looking at the papers of a 1930s Depression era extension agent, Sarah Pitt. So it's, I don't know, it sounds interesting. I don't know much about what's in there, but my student assistant was looking through it today and seemed to have found quite a bit of things of interest in there, so it should be fun. And then the last one for 2024 will be on the 18th of December, when I should be joined by archivist Kira for our traditional last stream of the year. This will be the fourth year in a row, where we will be looking at early American cookbooks. So that's what's coming up for Archival Adventures. If anybody wants to catch up with me on gaming streams, they happen on Mondays and Saturdays. Although this Saturday might not happen because it sounds like many people are going to be busy, and so I might just not. We'll see. I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna wind this stream down. I'm gonna figure out where we're gonna raid, and then we will we'll be done until 2 weeks from today. Oh dear. Let me see who's on and where we want to pop over. I do see there's some paleontologizing going on. The aquarium has a kelp forest cam. I do think that we're going to pop on over to paleontologizing from the Rogan 27 channel. I will try, but I don't think that the VTUL Studios is able to raid paleontologizing. You're welcome to go over there on your own if you want. But if I can't, then you will end up at the Monterey Bay Aquarium if you're on that channel. So yeah, Danny is the only educational that I see right now. But the times that I have tried, I've not been able to raid his channel from the library's channel. So if that happens again, the library channel will end up at Monterey Bay Aquarium, and the Rogan 27 channel will end up with Danny for some paleontologizing. The title of the stream over there is Dinosaurs Aren't Extinct. We just call the living ones birds. So it should be fun. I'm going to set up those raids now. And I wish you all well over so many buttons, so many things to look at. Uh, we'll see if it works. Nope. Yep. It won't let me from the library channel. So that one will head over to the Monterey Bay Aquarium. But yeah, thank you everybody for joining me. I hope that I will see all of you in the future for more archival adventures. Until then, keep exploring history, everyone.